The Fantasy Footballer Studio is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Really squeezed that one out. I thought we might get an it's playoff time. I wasn't sure if you'd just break us into the fantasy playoff. I don't know.
No, I get it. Today is the day where everyone can log into your platform, your fantasy platform, look at your playoff bracket, look and marvel.
Papa Josh can't.
Oh, right.
But I mean, everybody that's in the playoffs can.
Right.
You
like
know
the
what I mean?
people who listen to this show.
I was actually just about to make the joke, like, what's a playoff?
You know.
Well, congratulations on your successful season. That's over. But for everyone else, we're all in some playoffs here or there, and it's exciting. It's fun to go and look at the matchup and figure out how you're going to back your way into a championship.
Well, look, Jason, you slipped into the 6th seed with it 0-2 week somehow.
Yeah, baby.
And you'll be facing off against Al Borland in our League of Record playoffs. Al, you are feeling confident, I think.
I like my odds.
Yeah, you like your odds. Now, I don't know if we'll have a producer.
Oh, man, if I actually win.
Because you are very much, Jason.
Josh will be here. He's got nothing on the line.
Yeah, thanks,
No new
guys.
video games have been released today.
Yeah,
Well,
I've talked about a lot of my injuries. My team at this point in the season, it's hot trash. It's just like this is Nasty Boys season. And Jeremy's team, to his credit, it's the first time he's had a great team.
Okay.
So he's got an excellent. You two, I think, are the two current front runners.
Al Borland is the leader in points scored in the league.
Yeah.
And you are the leader in your own right of the least points against.
Yeah. You got defense wins championships, baby.
So going into next week, look, it will be you're like Cinderella but uglier. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, that's a good comp for me.
So we got fantasy playoffs. Hopefully, in some of your leagues, if you're tuning in, you're ready to get going. The waiver wire, setting yourself up for these next couple weeks. Despite my bye week, I decided to come to work anyways.
What a hero.
And so we'll get into it. We had a fantastically entertaining, I think, Monday night football game. A lot of people out there with Burrow and Chase and Dowdle, 18 for 131.
My boy.
Mike was...
My beautiful boy.
Let me say this, and no need to record it. And I don't say this lightly or often.
I don't know what's about to happen.
I know what he's going to say.
But Mike was right.
Yeah, that's what he's
Hey, okay. All right, we'll take that.
I knew it.
Thank you.
I mean, at every step of the way, it was always if Dowdle had a chance.
Yeah.
And it was always like, if he has a chance, it was our view that it wouldn't matter. And he has a chance, and it did matter. He did not score a touchdown.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That was the only thing I got right about Dowdle this week. But a career high in yards for the second consecutive week, 18 for 131. CeeDee Lamb, 6 for 93 and a touchdown, wincing at every turn.
Seriously.
Jamar Chase, 1,400 receptions for over 17,000 yards and 25 touchdowns in last night's game.
Jamar Chase is unstoppable. I tweeted out early in the game. I was just I'm like, how do you stop Jamar Chase? I don't have him in any of my leagues because he's one of those players where you either get lucky or in your draft slot,
right,
or is not a 5th round pick. So you just get him, or in our keepers and our dynasties. I don't have him. I don't have him anywhere. And it's a darn shame because I watch other people have so much fun with him.
It's the time of my life.
It's great.
It's so, and Mike in our Dynasty League has the Burrow Chase stack, and I truly believe
it's tasty
because there's no way for Chase to do all of the points and them not come from the ball thrower.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
the ball thrower has to be involved.
The ball thrower has to be involved. Now, I think that last night I'm watching this game, and here was my headline from it. There's about a minute left or whatever it was, 2 minutes left. The Bengals have to punt. And at that moment in time, it's 4th and 26. I think to myself, as a Jamar Chase manager, oh, no. Because the Cowboys are going to win the game. And that means that the Bengals are going to go to 4-9, which means that the Bengals are toast. And then they block the kick and they muff it and they win the game. If you're in fantasy football right now, you're thrilled at the outcome because the Bengals still have a puncher's chance. And you need that for Burrow and Chase to keep doing what they're doing. We also got interesting comments out after the game from Joe Burrow saying, like, in so many words, T. Higgins is going to be here.
I mean, he's like,
now, he doesn't write the checks,
right? But he's saying like, no. Basically, he was telling the team, "I'm the captain. You are going to figure this out. You're going to keep T. Higgins here with me,
and that he'll do whatever he needs to do."
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know if that's a restructure or anything wild like that, but for him to be so forward, like with the media of
right away,
putting the team on blast, saying, "No, you better get T. Higgins back here," and
because they need that 2 for 23. They need that 2 for 23 on the way back.
T. Higgins doesn't produce every single game, but he makes an impact on every single game.
Well, he helps Jamar Chase tremendously.
Exactly. So it's and like, see, I think in fantasy football, as we're all trying to project where these guys going to go, is like, man, T coming back to the Bengals is such low odds, probably even closer to 0. And this helps. It was Joe Goodberry on Twitter, who is like a real Bengals guy. He had tweeted out the other day that, in his opinion, he's like, "Oh, I think that the Bengals will actually franchise.
Yeah, they'll
they
just
got
franchise him again.
A bunch of cap space," and it was, like the double franchise. I mean, that's something that I hadn't even considered to be a possibility, and yet it makes so much sense that of making sure that Higgins is back one way or the other.
There was also a report yesterday about the Patriots basically offering the sun, moon, and stars for T. Higgins as free agent, period, like going into next year. So I thought I'd mention that too, because there was a report that they're going to do whatever it takes to land T. Higgins.
Well,
so,
and remember, Jamar Chase did not get the bag of money, so they're going to have to pay Jamar Chase. Both. The idea of giving both of them the contracts that they need from a franchise that has historically been ran not the best, I don't know if they would do that.
But the franchise for one more year, that makes sense. That could happen.
That's so much money.
$25 million.
Wide receivers. I know, but they're going to give Jamar Chase more than Justin Jefferson. So that'll be. Maybe they look at their roster this year and they're like, "Man, it went so well.
This offense,
these guys this year. Let's re-up this for a ton of money."
Their offense, but it did. Their offense is it's a championship offense.
Yeah, I'm just saying they maybe need to spend on their defense.
They may need to spend some money. Period.
Yeah,
fair.
That's it. So that was last night's game. By the way, we will be going through team motivation levels in the coming weeks. We will take care of that for you, let you know which teams are incentivized to, I guess, step on the throttle. Yeah, like keep it going, because it does matter. It matters on how they're going to rotate in youth, and it's certainly going to matter if teams have the 1 seed locked away, if you're a Week 18 title game, which hopefully you're not.
Motivation is very important and real in football, in whether you're betting, playing fantasy, or whatever. There are, next week we're going to also take a look at on a player level and see who has incentives, who has bonuses, who's 200 yards away from $1 million or whatever. Those things matter. You hear after the season is over, you always hear these coaches talk about, we had to get this guy a touchdown because I wanted him to hit his bonus. That's real. It happens.
And we're going to break it all down. And motivation does matter. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to do a really piss-poor job hosting the show this week.
Yeah.
Because I don't really need to be here.
So why weren't you motivated last week?
Are you implying that I did
Swish!
Goodness gracious. All right, let's jump in.
Welcome to Difference Makers, presented by IMAGN Pet Food.
Well, today I wanted to do a little, do something different with Difference Makers, and I'm going to throw out 6 names, and I'm going to throw them out to you guys, and I need a yes or no. Do you think that this player that I mentioned will be a difference maker rest of season for fantasy playoff teams heading into the most important time of the year? You can be brief. Give me a reason, yes or no, why you believe it, but let me start with the quarterback, Brock Purdy. Difference maker, yes or no?
No. I think we're at the time of the year where the best teams are in and you need monstrous performances. I don't think he's going to give that to you. Debo is not who he once was. Obviously, Ayuk is gone.
Debo said he's good.
Oh, really?
Just needs the ball more.
He deleted the that he said that, but he said, no, everything's good. I'm just not getting the ball.
Okay.
Mike, difference maker, Brock Purdy, yes or no?
I'll go with no. I don't want it to sound like I think that Brock Purdy's a bad start. The schedule's not the greatest, but I think Brock Purdy is still a start, but a difference maker at the quarterback position, I don't think so.
49ers playoff probability right now is 8%, sitting in 11th place with the remainder of the season.
Brock Purdy's chance of buying a Scrooge McDuck vault, very high.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't, that's a tough one.
Really? For you? You're saying
it's a little bit tough, yeah, because I think Brock he's kind of right now in the Lawrence category of like not worth the money, but you're stuck paying the money. Like he's not worth league record money.
I don't think he's going to get league record money, but he absolutely is worth his weight in gold as a franchise quarterback.
I think he's a franchise quarterback.
Yes, he really is.
I could see things going south for the team.
Oh, that is for sure.
And so I guess you're just kind of like, if without Shanahan's structure, without CMC, without some of these, Debo playing up to level, I don't know. I just think we could look back in a couple of years and say Brock Purdy is okay. That's expensive for okay. That's all.
It's like Darnold, where
yes, it is.
Like Darnold in Minnesota is worth franchise money. Darnold somewhere else, probably not.
That's exactly how I see it. You're right. Difference maker, Sincere McCormick, running back for the Las Vegas Raiders, who just had another 18 opportunities. Yes or no?
I think yes.
Okay, I am a yes as well.
The reason I think I'm a yes is because if you are a playoff team that needs Sincere McCormick, which one of mine is, do you really need him? I mean, there are very few players who have come from nowhere late in the season, and at this point going into the playoffs, you feel like might have a chance to score a lot of fantasy points that, when you dealt with an injury late in the season, Breece Hall. I don't know if he's back this week or not, but if you lost Breece Hall and you're in the playoffs, you might have a gaping hole, and I think Sincere McCormick has looked good. And he has found a lot of success. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. I said gaping hole. All right, let's just call a spade a spade.
What? What are you talking about?
These deucers can't handle it. You silly little boys.
That's a yes for Sincere McCormick.
Not only it's a yes for me. It's not only is he getting the opportunities. And I really think that he's going to keep getting them. Even if Madison is back this week, I think that the Raiders should and will be like, no, let's see what McCormick can do. And the fact that he is against Denver, it was only 5 carries, but against Denver, 6.6 a carry. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, 5.3 a carry on 12. This past week against Tampa, 15 carries, 5.2 yards per carry. Like, this guy is bringing actual juice to the opportunity. This isn't I stumbled into a guy who's going to get volume, and I really hope he gets 20 carries and a touchdown. Like, this dude is making the most of his opportunity.
Let's make it more difficult. Zach Charbonnet, difference maker, rest of season, yes or no?
Oh, man. Mike, you go first.
I felt like that one would be the most difficult name that I'm going to bring up.
Rest of season, I will say no, because I think that Ken Bone Walker will be back. It may not be this week, but I think that he'll be back. And if Walker's back, it's Splitsville for Sharps.
I agree. And you've also got, 2 weeks from now he plays Minnesota. I cannot imagine Charbonnet having a great game against the Minnesota run D. So I don't think he's the difference maker rest of season that he was this last week.
He easily could be. Like we may not have information on the Walker injury, and it's like, oh, we were joking. Walker is going on the IR, and then Charbonnet is truly a difference maker.
The 3 games that he's played without Ken Bone Walker, 14 for 38 and a touchdown with 5 catches, 18 for 91 and 2 touchdowns with 3 catches, and 13 for 134 and 2 rushing touchdowns with 7 catches. So when Walker is out, Sharp cooks.
Yeah.
Difference maker, Grandpa Thielen, Adam Thielen, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is. He's going to be one of the guys we're talking probably the highest about on the waiver episode today. His target share with Bryce Young, who's playing good ball.
Yeah, he is.
And honestly, so I went back, I watched every single snap for Bryce Young, and when we've seen this with a lot of quarterback wide receiver combos. When he throws the ball to Thielen, they're in sync. When he throws the ball to Leggett, there's
no. I was going to bring that up. Like Xavier Leggett is a disappointment.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that, his performances have been a disappointment, and his reliability is going the opposite direction of what Thielen is right now.
I think it's just being a rookie. I mean, you see this with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler. They're out of sync a little bit, and some of it is because they are playing like a rookie. But let's give them a little bit of credit because they're a rookie. So it's okay. They're going to make these mistakes. Adam Thielen is a vet who is always in the right spot. I think he's going to be a real difference maker.
Really impressive catches, including one that didn't count. That should have counted.
Yeah, he's got great hands.
That was ridiculous.
And I went back and watched all of Thielen as well. And there were more times had Bryce looked at Thielen first that there would have been easy catches for him. There was room for growth.
Yeah, jokes aside, don't be embarrassed to put Thielen into lineups.
Yeah.
And the schedule's good. Jordan Addison, difference maker, yes or no? Jordan Addison has been cooking.
Yeah. He's not consistent, but he's been having
there.
a lot of really good games lately. 6
touchdowns in the last 6 games. He has 12 targets, 6 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets. What do you think?
I'm going to go yes.
Would you rather have Addison or Darnell Mooney rest of the season?
Oh, great question.
I think I would go.
My vote would be Addison. Because he doesn't have Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Kirk has not been great, but Mooney just had a good week this last week with Kirk. Mooney has been solid, and I believe I'm looking this up.
Mooney has more yards than Drake London.
The Raiders, the Giants, and the Commanders are left. I'm going to stick with Mooney, but it's close.
All right. So do you guys think yes on Addison?
I do. I think he should have a couple big games down the stretch.
The fact that it seems like in the last month that we're getting an uptick in targets. Maybe they're finally like, hey, we need to actually focus on getting him the ball, not just every once in a while.
Okay, and just in case, Roma Dunze, he had 2 touchdowns, 4 for 42 this past week against San Francisco. Hard to argue with the schedule coming up for Chicago, so I'm going to bring him up. Roma Dunze, difference maker, yes or no?
No, because I don't think people are going to be able to start him. I mean, to have the confidence of a player who just got 4 catches after just getting 2 catches, he could absolutely have a big week this week. I like Caleb Williams a lot this week. The matchup against Minnesota in the passing game is pretty good, but he's not going to be a difference maker because I don't think people are starting him. And if you do, and I don't think you should start him because you're basically saying, I hope he gets the touchdowns, and he might, but that's just not the way to, that's not the way I want to play.
Yeah, he's a no, but my opinion hasn't changed. I think he should be on a bench just in case, like over these last few weeks. If
either of the other 2 went down, I feel like your confidence level would start to go through the roof with the amount of yardage that Caleb's putting up.
Yeah, there's that, and there is a world where over the last few weeks, with nothing to play for, and I'm doubting that Keenan is back for the Chicago Bears, so they may say, hey, over these last 4 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever, let's see what happens if we focal point Rome.
All right, that was Difference Makers, presented, as always, by IAMS Pet Food. When you choose IAMS, you can see the difference in your pet with your own eyes. Healthy energy in 5 days, healthy digestion in 10 days, and healthy skin and coat in just 25 days. Feed IAMS and see a visible difference. We'll take a break. We'll hit the news.
News and notes from around the league. Presented by USAA Insurance.
Some sad news.
Jonathan Brooks re-tore his ACL in his right knee.
That is the same knee, so he will be done for this year. He will be on basically the same timeline as last year. I believe this is a later tear than it was last year, and it took him until week 10 to get here. It's not good. He could never be the same. This could be like Javonte Williams, who was a sensational athlete, and then
there's two sides to it, right? One is just like, can you ever perform at that level? But the bigger piece for me is just, could a team ever have confidence in him as a bell cow? And that is a much, much further place to get to, and a very, very relevant one for fantasy outcomes. So if you, in a dynasty league, invested in Jonathan Brooks, the pathway for him to get to where he delivers on what you thought he was going to be, we went from a preseason where as soon as he got healthy, you thought he's their future, to now they signed Chuba Hubbard long-term, and he re-tears his ACL. It's devastating. It's heartbreaking. I feel terrible for the young man.
This is a team that went out and signed Miles Sanders to a big contract, used a second-round pick on the first running back drafted, just signed Chuba Hubbard. My point here is that running backs matter to this team, this general manager. They want a couple of good running backs. I wouldn't be shocked if this offseason they bring someone else important in, because they're not going to have Jonathan Brooks. They can't rely on him and say, you know what, this coming season we're going to get Brooks back. They just did that experiment and lost. So, yeah, whether the team can wait around and make him a big part of the game plan is sad.
It will. It would be surprising if Jonathan Brooks plays any meaningful stuff next year.
I'd be shocked.
Which
Will Disley expected to miss a couple of weeks. So Montana on the mend. And then Kenneth Walker, additional tests being done on his calf.
Yes, I hadn't heard that yet.
It's a calf injury, and they'll know more in the next day or two. I don't like the sound of new tests coming Tuesday, Wednesday after you missed a game. That sounds pretty ominous for week 1 of the fantasy playoffs.
That sounds ominous for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But this is a team right now that they're in first, right? I think they're leading the division. So,
they want him back
for sure. They're not going to just put him on the shelf and say we're done. It does make Charbonnet more appealing.
Aiden O'Connell avoided the season-ending knee injury that we heard about, and has a bone bruise and has not been ruled out
for this week. So he went from
so stupid.
He was air casted, which is almost always
he was pronounced dead.
Right.
Like he was in the morgue.
Time of death.
They put him in.
Oh, he's in the bag and he's trying to get out of the bag.
Yeah, they put him in, and then they just sort of, hello,
guys.
I'm really okay.
It's freezing in here,
and I'm hungry.
Derek Carr did not suffer a fracture. I'm sorry, did. All right, hold on.
We're just gonna go. Everyone is fun. You know what? Jonathan Brooks back on the field this week.
No. Sorry, I wish I had that news. Derek Carr did suffer a fracture in his left hand in concussion protocol. Will miss time.
I saw it reported that he's planning to definitely miss a couple weeks.
Not
here.
IR though.
Right.
He has unfortunately a contract situation where if he can't pass a physical coming up here in the off season, it's something like $30 million. Kyle, I don't know if you'd have this off.
Yeah, Carr has $30 million injury guarantee for 2025.
If he can't pass the physical, He will be guaranteed $30 million, so that will factor in. Also, we did just get a report straight from the source, boys. The Nooch. Ben DiNucci is back. He has signed with the Saints.
Cool. Reports I didn't need to know.
And
for 5,000.
Yeah, we did.
Nicknames I don't want to hear.
The Nooch?
Yeah.
No.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm out on that one.
Yeah, that's
All right.
It's no Jennings.
yeah.
The support you received from the world, Jason.
I mean,
I'm so happy I got in at the end.
I'm happy I'm still out.
oh no,
Cedric Tillman.
That's because you haven't been saying it.
Brother, you're pushing up against
You know what
a crowd.
Jennings.
I mean,
Try it out.
Jennings.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
you had a
fun.
good time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's fun? The Nooch. Just saying.
All right,
All
I'll
right.
try it on. Well,
We all got to be willing to try new things, guys.
all right.
Try Nooch things. Cedric
Nice.
Tillman, Romeo Dobbs, both still in concussion protocol.
Dude,
That is
What?
sad for both of them. Tillman's been a long time.
it has.
You know, the waiver wire today, when I was looking at it yesterday, I was like, I kept moving him up and up. I'm
I
like,
did,
you know,
yeah.
if this is the week he's back, when he's back, he looked so good. He's got the size speed combo, but it was week 12 when he got the concussion. They didn't put him on IR, and it looks like he's going to be out a while.
George Pickens not expected to play in Week 15 against the Eagles. He is dealing with a grade 2 hamstring injury.
My looking into it, I'm expecting him to miss this game, but then I think he'll be back for Week 16.
Against Baltimore.
That could depend on the stakes too.
It could, but the way that the Steelers were talking and Mike Tomlin, Mike Tomlin was, I think, being earnest and honest about, no, I think that George is going to play. We're going to test him out in the morning, and we'll see how it goes. So their plan as a team was for George Pickens to play on Sunday, and then they just reevaluated and said, we don't want this to – basically, they didn't want to Mike Evans it, put him out there for limited snaps, have him injure himself and be out for 4 weeks. So just saying, grade 2, that sounds really scary. But I think he's back in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I
think he misses the 2
I
weeks.
don't think it's a great sign personally that you go from he might play to we're ruling him out for another week.
It's the rule of 2 here, so I think that he just misses the 2. I'm following it.
All right. Any other news that we need to cover? We didn't have a practice for Garindo. We're waiting to hear about him.
The reporting on the quote from Shanahan on Garindo was very funny to watch because we were simultaneously getting glasses half empty, glasses half full from the same exact quote.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, Shanahan said if we had practice, Garindo would not have been able to do it. I'd be surprised if he's able to go tomorrow. So Patrick Taylor will be talked about on the waiver wire, and I think he is you got to add him just in case, but we don't have the full news
So
yet.
Garindo is Thursday.
Yes.
And so basically what we know now is that he's not practicing this week. We're not going to get new information on Garindo before the game. We're just going to find out. Like, he's not going to practice. He didn't practice yesterday. He's not going to practice today. And then it's going to basically be maybe he gets in a limited practice, which would be a walkthrough, and then he's either active or he's not. So this is just be prepared for him not to be active. But the quotes were basically, he's not going to practice. We hope he plays.
Yeah, that's a quick turnaround.
Because of the quick turnaround here for Thursday, like we know they have, so Patrick Taylor is depth chart wise, he's the next man up. Like he's
and just for the record, 5th.
Yeah, yes.
5th on the depth chart for a reason.
And but he is technically the next guy up. But you have Keyshawn Vaughn, who came in garbage time this past week. They picked up Abanikanda.
Yeah, get that whip out. Get that whip out, Mike.
I don't know if I have the drop.
Come
dude.
on, Izzy.
Oh, I do. But with it being the quick turnaround, I would say if Garando's out, I would have more confidence that Taylor will be the guy just because they don't have time to get the other guys ready.
And I will throw this out. I believe Isaac Garindo will be the starter. That's my current. I know he's not going to practice. They've already said that, but I think he plays on Thursday and is good.
That was today's news and notes presented by USAA Insurance. Learn more at usaa.com/insurance.
Welcome to the Waiver Wire.
Well, you can say bye to the buys. No more buys. The Broncos, Colts, Commanders, Ravens, Patriots, and Texans. You get their players back this week. We jump into the waiver wire with Sincere McCormick, aforementioned Sincere McCormick, somehow only rostered still in 18% of leagues, despite being brought up, I feel like, prominently last week.
People didn't believe.
But 15 for 78, nothing really to play for but the future for the Raiders, who may or may not even have their second-string quarterback. So I do think the opportunity will be there for McCormick. It's a matchup against Atlanta, then Jacksonville, then New Orleans.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's difference-making stuff. That's been the fab on it if you have a need type of stuff. I'd be curious if, Thielen and McCormick were somehow both out there, where you'd go on that decision.
I would go Thielen, simply because he is going to be the primary target, and we know that. Sincere McCormick, I'm with Mike that I think he's earned and will retain the work when Alexander Mattison comes back, but there's a chance he doesn't. Alexander Mattison comes back, and now it's like, okay, well, we've got Matty back. The starter's back. He gets the and you know what, Sincere, you've done a good job. You're going to get a couple carries too, but it's that still exists. So I would go Thielen first.
All right, other running backs that you have the highest amount of interest in. We just talked about Patrick Taylor. I am personally nervous about that.
Me too.
If he was to get that opportunity, it's not that he couldn't perform. It's just that, when you look at who they've had, I don't look at Patrick Taylor as possessing any of the elite
100%.
traits and skills that, Garendo had elite speed and Mason elite tackle breaking, and, Mitchell was a very well-rounded back, and obviously CMC. Taylor is 5th on the depth chart for a reason, and I don't know if he's the kind of back that Shanahan would look to do everything with. Like, if you had to start one, I guess he'd be the one you'd start, but it would be with trepidation. It would be somebody that I would start Sincere McCormick over, or Jaleel McLaughlin over, or, probably even Gus Edwards over.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I'd play Taylor over Gus.
Man, I
have more confidence just in the Shanahan system and the matchup, I guess, than you guys do.
Yeah, the system has always worked. It's just
nobody's into somebody's all the time.
So this might sound really, really stupid, but I feel like if Garendo can't go, I think it's going to be Izzy. I think Izzy would be the guy. Obviously,
wow.
he wasn't a part of the game plan last time.
Just because of speed?
Because of speed. He fits the system far. Like, Patrick Taylor wasn't brought in to be one of these running backs. He was 5th. He's a special teams type of, jag. He's a 4.57 40 time. This is not the type of running back that the 49ers have ever used. Izzy, I think his Pitt Pro Day was like in the 4.3s. He's got the trait where it's just like, I don't care who it is, next man up.
There was an example of this, and Kyle, if you can search the recesses of your mind or the internet for the name, but there was one San Francisco running back picked up off the street a few years ago, because the 49ers lose 3 to 4 running backs a year. But there was someone they signed straight off the street that came right in to be their starter in lieu of the depth chart.
Right.
And I cannot remember his name. I will probably find it here in a few minutes.
I don't remember.
But there was somebody that they grabbed, I want to say off of the Bears practice squad or something. He was a truck, and he played on Monday Night Football. But my point is they signed him and they played him, and he was the guy. If you want to lean towards Vaughn, but again, it's messy. It's really messy from a fantasy waiver wire. How much fab? How much do you go at it for that?
Patrick Taylor is currently the next man up. He was next on the depth chart. Whatever. If I knew Patrick Taylor was the starter for this game, I'd be happy to play him. I'll be happy to play whoever the starter is for the 49ers. But I don't think it's as clear as just saying it's Patrick Taylor with Izzy there. Or Keyshawn Vaughn. Maybe it's Keyshawn Vaughn.
Other names to bring up.
The Jets guys should be they're more priority pickups. We don't know what the health of Breece Hall is going to be, and you get the matchup with Jacksonville. The discussion there then becomes Braylon Allen versus Isaiah Davis, and if you want to talk total work, Braylon Allen was 11 carries, 43 yards. Isaiah Davis, 10 carries, 40 yards, and he got the touchdown. 6 targets for Isaiah Davis, 5 for Braylon Allen. They really split it up, and watching the game, Isaiah Davis was the guy who had the better day. Like
Isaiah Davis looked awesome.
He's the running back that if I were running the Jets, I know that Braylon Allen projected to be that guy, but I was like, no, we got hot hand here with Isaiah Davis. I'm giving him all the work. So if Breece misses again, it's probably a timeshare, which puts them both as startable, not the confidence level that we had hoped we would have with Braylon Allen being the true backup.
The matchup against the Jaguars means I think you can start both of them if Breece is out. I did make the playoffs, so I expect Breece to be out again until I'm out, and then he will dominate. That's how the math should work. But Isaiah Davis is a worthy pickup. He's available in most of the leagues, and if you need someone to start, I mean, if I'm talking about Isaiah Davis against Jacksonville or Patrick Taylor, I think I go Isaiah Davis just because, if he gets 50% of the work against Jacksonville, that could be safer than Patrick Taylor being the backup. I don't know.
Would you go with any of those guys where we're in flowchart season right now of, if this player is out, then I can start these guys? Or would you prefer Jaleel McLaughlin, Denver Broncos, coming back off the bye? He gets the matchup with the Colts. He had McLaughlin has done really not much except for this past week. He got a whole bunch of opportunities.
Yeah, and he looked great with it.
2 weeks ago.
We talked about how they are riding the hot hand. Obviously, they usually give Javonte the first opportunity to show that his hands are ice. McLaughlin was so good last week. The matchup is great. He's certainly in play, and I think you could pick him up and take a shot, but it's very Patrick Taylor in the sense that he might not. He might go out there and get 3 or 4 carries, so it's very difficult to rely on that. You also have Kendre Miller, who came in, got a touchdown.
He's at least ahead of Jamal Williams.
Oh, he's definitely ahead of Jamal. I mean, he had 10 carries.
1 carry from the team picking him up and taking him into the end zone.
Dude, he didn't go down, man. He was he started at the 8-yard line when contact happened. I think the team got involved at the 3. That was a boss run.
Talk to me for a second about philosophical change. We've had the waiver show all year long. There's been a lot of we're going to pick up players, we're going to hold them, we're going to have the insurance backs. How do things change mindset-wise? Are you dropping insurance backs at this juncture if you are viewing somebody else's, how are you approaching the shift in the win 1 week situation?
Right. Win 1 week is priority. If you need to drop someone to get someone for this week, you have to do it. I'm willing to drop a backup. I would also prefer to roster at this point. I'm looking a lot at the defenses, and I'll take a look at next week's defense and even the championship week defense to make sure that there's in most leagues there's there's usually 6 teams that are in the playoffs. And I think the majority of those teams that make the playoffs, they're all going to be looking at their playoff defenses now. So the waiver claims are going to come in for those defenses, and I would rather play that game and make sure I get the points that I know will be scored, because they're not going to get injured. The defenses can't get injured as a whole to where you can't play them. So I would rather roster them than the insurance backs, but I'm not dropping insurance backs of my own players just because it's playoffs either.
Wide receivers, by the way, all of our waiver wire rankings on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Also, if you would like them customized to your specific league and scoring type, all of those things are in the Ultimate Dashboard, which can be found at jointhefoot.com if you want to see who's available. That is a tool that can help you there. A wide receiver, heavily rostered, but at the tippy top of our waiver rankings, Thielen number 1.
Yes.
Quentin Johnston.
He's still there.
5 for 48 and a touchdown. I thought the lack of McConkey would benefit him. It did. And he's had games. So, he's He's a much higher ceiling dart throw than playing, in my opinion, a Leggett or a McMillan or a Palmer or a David Moore or a Westbrook Akine or a Dontavian Wick, some of the other names that are dart throws. But Quentin Johnston plays a lot of snaps and can score touchdowns.
Do you want to play Huge this week at Tampa or Elijah Moore against Kansas City?
That's an easy huge for me.
Yeah, I'm on that side too.
Elijah Moore's had some good games, and Elijah Moore is in play. I'd like to roster him as well. I think last week he only had 3 catches.
He did. 3 for 34.
And the matchup, if you look at the matchup, you're talking about one of the most difficult for Elijah Moore and one of the easiest for Quentin Johnston against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Completely agree. And Elijah Moore, I mean, even with Winston, 15, 3, 15, 4.
Well, that just means a 15's coming.
Yeah, come on. We know how stats work.
Yeah. Only if he's on your bench, though. Remember the rules?
So
Not for me. I've been playing him everywhere.
This is the type of week where I think what you need to be taking a shot at, what you're looking for. You're not looking rest of season. Adam Thielen, great. Quentin Johnston, involved enough, great. Those two, to me, are in kind of a tier of their own. They're heavily rostered. They're probably not available. If you are looking for a wide receiver to start and play, we have to have the mindset of you need a touchdown. This is the playoffs. Who can go out there and get a touchdown? That's kind of how I look at it. It is a Rashad Bateman who
Dontavian Wicks, if Dobbs is out, is the answer for me.
Yeah, that's a great answer. The matchup against Seattle is good. He's got more snaps. He's very, very capable of the big explosive game. You could throw Keon Coleman in there as a dart throw. We still don't know if he's going to be active, but if he is, Josh Allen could throw 5 touchdowns.
With that same line of thinking, for Cedric Tillman, should you get news today? Like, oh, no, Tillman's he's back at practice. It's limited, but this looks like he's going to trend to play for the weekend. Where would he jump to?
He would probably be 3rd. If I knew
still behind Huge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but he would be very, very high. He would jump into that tier.
I don't think my confidence level would shoot up there. You talked about how bad the matchup is. It's very concerning, and the rapport with Judy is building. Like, you already saw that switch start to happen before the injury, so I'd be less bullish. I'm not saying he's out of the picture, but there's also floor play options. Like, Ray McLeod is being used a ton in the Atlanta offense. Like, if you need, a floor play of 7-8 points, to me, that's where he represents. I mean, he had 11 targets. I never ignore targets in an offense, and he is functioning. If you look at the way things have trended for Atlanta, delete Kyle Pitts and add Ray McLeod into that equation. Targets 6, 11 the last 3 weeks.
But I guess if you're talking about targets,
he's had 95 and 98 yards the last 2 weeks.
If you're comparing the targets, just remember Cedric Tillman, when Jameis took over, had 12 targets, 9 targets, 11 targets, 8 targets, and then 4 targets in the game that he got hurt early, didn't play half of the game. So, and then you'd want to talk about, okay, they both got targets, they both can get yards. Tough matchup, I agree, but then it's playoff weeks. Who has the higher likelihood of a touchdown? I believe Kirk Cousins is not allowed to throw touchdowns anymore. That is one of the things he has.
He said he's done with that?
Yeah, he's ruling out any more touchdowns for the rest of the season. Has it been a month? Has it been a month of games since he's thrown a touchdown?
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's been 4 games.
But when's the last time he threw a pick?
About 20 minutes ago. I think they are practicing right now.
He is. The last month, his touchdown to interception ratio is 0 and 8.
Oh, man. It's not been good. He was, I don't know if we had it in the news or we brought it up, he was announced that he is absolutely the starter. He is the leader of the team. But your point of Ray is very involved. He is getting targets. He should be looked at. But you said it right. He's a floor play. He's not really a ceiling.
No, he's the player you play when you don't want to risk 1 for 19 from Westbrook Akine. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is if you are a heavy favorite that still needs a flex, I'd rather have that in there than risk a 1 for 4 from Calvin Austin, a 1 for 19 from Westbrook Akine.
I completely agree. I think the majority of people that are scouring the waivers are probably the underdog that are looking for a starter, but there's definitely a situation where you lost a wide receiver.
Pickens,
you're the favorite. Yeah, exactly.
Walker.
It feels gross to say it, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I would pick up and play Michael Wilson over Ray McCloud.
Tell us why.
Well, he's up against New England. He's been, like, if you want to talk about floor, he's been 50 yards for 3 straight weeks, and he is more likely to get a touchdown than Ray McCloud. I think Ray has 1 on the year, and this I like.
That's
I like
a pretty good percentage of the team's touchdowns, though.
I like. Yeah, that's fair. I like the Cardinals this week. I think that they're gonna be just fine.
Would you drop Debo or MVS for these guys?
MVS, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
For the top
MVS
tier.
has no car. Goodbye.
Yeah.
He's walking.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Boston.
Yeah. Thank you.
Debo, it's tough.
Oh man.
But yeah, for some of them, for sure. For Huge, for Thielen.
Yeah, I mean, I would if I had to start.
If you had Tillman, you'd play Tillman.
Yeah, if Tillman was active, I think I would start Tillman over Samuel, Thielen over Samuel.
All right.
And probably Huge, yeah. Crazy.
Again, check out all the waiver rankings on thefantasyfootballers.com. We'll take a break. We'll hit tight ends, defenses, and quarterbacks. All right, tight ends. Hello, goodbye to Juwan Johnson. It's not impossible that he's relevant rest of season, but
really tough though.
Yeah, it's really hard to rely on that without a quarterback that you can trust. So, I wanted to come in here. I assumed we'd come in here and be talking Juwan Johnson a lot until that injury happened. Hunter Henry comes back from the bye.
He is at the top.
As 2 bye week tight ends that are probably on your waiver wire or could be, Hunter Henry and Zach Ertz. Both have opportunities for touchdowns in every game. Both are the starting tight ends with big snap shares, and that's kind of all you can hope for. I mean, I would still like Cade Otton more than Hunter Henry, but the gap is not that big.
Since week 7, Hunter Henry is averaging 7.5 targets a week.
It's just that, like, Baker represents a much higher chance at touchdowns, but Hunter Henry, otherwise, are you guys both on the side where you'd rather have Cade Otton than Hunter Henry or no?
Oh, man.
It is very close, but I lean with you on the Baker will throw more touchdowns than Drake May. So I would be on the Cade Otton side in searching for that touchdown, but ahead of probably both of them would be Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz.
The last 3 weeks, man.
Yeah, he's been
touchdown.
Exactly. So that's what you're looking for. Jaden Daniels, probably the higher likelihood of everyone to throw a touchdown. Well, him and Baker, maybe Baker a little bit more, but the matchup is pretty good against New Orleans for Zach Ertz. He's been reliable. So those 3 guys are the guys you're hoping for, and then if they're not available, now you're dropping down a tier, and you don't have a reliable target share.
Would you go Calcaterra from the Philadelphia Eagles? He plays Pittsburgh. Or would you go Noah Gray, tight end 1 from the Kansas City Chiefs?
Tight end 1.5. No Gray, 5 more targets last week. Last 4 games, target pace 85. It's
I
fine.
would play Noah Gray.
I mean, I probably, if I'm being honest, I'd probably play Calcaterra if it were me because of the snap share. Like, now that he's there and Dallas Goedert's gone, he played 91% of snaps, and what's the snap count for Noah Gray? 60%?
Yeah, the snap count is not as consequential when the other quarterback is like 150 yards a game.
Yeah, no, I'm not. You can have your opinion. I'm just
saying, like, that's why I'm going to chase the offense here from the Chiefs.
I don't like the whole frame of conversation around those two. I mean, if you're Calcaterra or Noah Gray, you are in trouble.
Yeah, you are in trouble. You might as well. I mean, I would throw Cole Kmet into that mix too. Obviously just goosed, but he's had a couple big games.
I throw him right out.
Yeah, sure.
I reject your Cole Kmet.
I'd just be terrified. Yeah,
I'm terrified to play any one of these three guys. But you're just talking upside.
Sure.
I mean,
he had 10 targets the week before.
Yeah, Grant Calcaterra, Noah Gray, Cole Kmet. The highest floor is probably Noah Gray, but that floor is 4. It's not a relevant number. So then you go, okay, well, who's got the highest ceiling? Who can go out there and actually dominate? Cole Kmet can actually go out and dominate a game. He's done it many times.
Until you lose by 4 points, Jason. Sure. Then you're like, Noah Gray.
There are defensive options this week that are highly attractive. The Commanders' defense, which will have Lattimore for the first time, will face a backup in New Orleans.
Is it Hayner? Is that who's going to play? Kyle?
I mean,
Yep.
Thank you.
Jake Haynes.
Well.
Oh, well, we didn't ask for your commentary over there, boy. You're stat boy. You give us hard, cold facts.
No, I'm in. But
heinous.
He'll be heinous after the week. The Cardinals play at home against New England. The Cincinnati Bengals face Tennessee. That's a little bit like the Bengals defense is just not that good.
Dude,
Baltimore.
But, you can always play. You can always play a defense against Will Levis.
Baltimore plays the Giants, by the way. That's going to be outrageous.
I was happy to see it get called out because I noticed the play from Will Levis, who, oh gosh, putting my faith in Will Levis last week is an absolute disaster. But there was an end zone play they had, for whatever reason, 2 players, leaking out to the left of the end zone, and Will Levis ignored the wide open Okonkwo. And he's like, no, I'm going to throw the guy who's got an actual defender on him for whatever reason. That guy sucks.
The 49ers, I don't really like them against the Rams at all on Thursday.
Yeah, that
would be a terrible start. I don't know why it's in this list.
Delete. Because you got to have options.
The Jets against Jacksonville. Yeah, give me the Jets against Mac Jones. You're targeting backup quarterbacks. The Falcons against Las Vegas. Yeah, backup quarterbacks.
I would also throw in the Atlanta Falcons. They are playing Baltimore this week. That is not what you want. The next week, or they're not playing Baltimore, sorry. But next week they are playing the Giants. And that is going to be an important game for the Falcons at home. And if you look at the Week 16, if you're looking at 2 weeks out to get ahead of your opponent, most of the teams that you focus and try to play against, you want to play against the Titans, that's the Colts defense. It's like, okay, they're not that good. You want to play against Jameis and the Browns, that's the Bengals defense. It's like, okay. So I think the Falcons are really the team for next week that you can get now.
All right, let's move forward.
Full stream ahead.
Well, my streaming quarterback this week, it's going to be Justin Herbert against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 31st against quarterbacks, 30th in passing yards per game allowed. I know he's been banged up. We'll see if Ladd McConkey can get back out on the field. I think Herbert will do enough. 202 should be okay. Game has a 46.5-point total. He's been a top 12 quarterback in 4 straight at home.
I'm going to go and, scared money don't make money. It's a little scary, but I'm going to say that you could stream Caleb Williams this week.
Gosh, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, look, he played against Minnesota a couple weeks ago. He was the quarterback 3. He threw for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 33 yards. I know it's a divisional game. Minnesota is still a team that you want to target for the passing game because you really just can't run on them. It's a 44-point over-under. It's dangerous, but you can see the path where it works. I mean, 2 of the last 3 weeks he's been a top 6 option in fantasy. He's looked good in spurts
in second halves.
Yes, in second halves. Really, it's all in the second half.
It was another at halftime. The Chicago Bears had like a handful of yards in the first half. Like this, I don't know how this can keep happening. That you could be shut out for an entire half, and then you put up.
It's a rope-a-dope, Mike. They're like, you guys are too good for us.
Falcon, is that More punts than yards?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, whatever. I don't know. I'm not verifying that, but that's fun to say. More punts than yards. Speaking of dangerous, a true streaming quarterback this week. It's gross. Like, we're playoffs. Please, hopefully you have your guys. But Bryce Young. This is the first time in the Bryce Young era they are favored at home by 2.5 points against the Dallas Cowboys.
So proud of him.
What a world.
I know you're talking about Bryce Young, but I just want to know how many packs a day freaking Falcon is smoking.
More punts than yards.
More punts than yards.
One back.
One pack?
You eat it though, right?
Eat it, yeah.
It's a pack of 75, but it's just one.
Oh,
But Bryce
man.
Young, I think that he is playable, hopefully more as a quarterback too. But the section's about trying to find streamers.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, hungry for more in the Thursday night preview tomorrow. Some playoff mailbag to help you out as you head into your fantasy football playoffs, and we'll continue to follow along the Jason v. Al Borland battle for the week. I know Jason. I've known him for a long time. I've known him for 20-plus years. I know exactly how he's going to be playing this week. I know his exact psychological state. I know exactly what he's going to be doing. And it's going to be a man that on the surface presents with indifference. It will be a man
I don't even care.
A man who doesn't care about the matchup. That's just I'm just happy to be here. But inside, he still believes he can win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can.
Yeah. So just expect a lot of concessions, Al. Maybe I'll buy you a pizza. We'll see.
I'll take that too.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.